Yeah. All right. All right, guys. Love that. Sorry about a little bit of a late stream. Uh, we were having staff meeting. Pastors just we're talking about more stuff that we are able to do to for you guys. And so I just want to come on here again today. Yes, I did get a haircut. I realize that it's backwards. So I mean the lady. All right. So went to my barber. All right, I went to my barber and she asked me if I wanted the same as I got last time. They have me on record. They have exactly what I usually do. And they said, "Hey," she basically said, "Hey, do you want the same thing?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, it worked really good last time. I want to keep that." And then she said, "All right, perfect, perfect, perfect." Then she started asking me all these questions, talking about me, and of course I'm having to wear a mask, and it was kind of a smaller mask than I would personally like, and so it hurt my face. It hurt my face a bit, so I was pretty uncomfortable with just the mask in general, but also just like she's asking me 150 questions at like 60 miles an hour kind of thing. And I'm trying to get all these answers. I'm trying to think about it at the same time, but not like create an awkward silence between questions. She got to the point where she asked me, she's doing my side, she's doing my top, and she finally asked me, "Well, what do you do for a living?" And I said, "Well, my wife and I are youth pastors over here at Oak Grove." And she's like, "Oh, fantastic." She hardly said another word after that. I don't know why. I was not doing anything. I was not being weird. I was not. I didn't. I usually expect that sometimes. Um, But then I started initiating the conversations, which that's usually never how it happens, at a barbershop and whenever you go to the dentist, even though the dentist has his hands like all the way in your mouth, all the way up to the elbow kind of thing, trying to get to the back molars, right? I had to initiate the conversation. And so I tried to make it as easy for her to um, try not to make it weird and all that stuff. But then at the very end, she asked me, um, "Does it look good?" And I said, "Yeah, it looks good." Thinking to myself, "That looks a little short. I don't know what that's supposed to mean." Like they always say, you can always go longer and then shorten it if you need it, right? Well, she tells me, she's like, "Well, you know what I did? I went ahead and I went a little shorter on the sides and the back so you wouldn't have to come in as often." And at first, all right, I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, that's fine. That's totally totally cool, totally normal." It wasn't until yesterday morning, Sunday morning, whenever I was getting ready for church, it finally hit me. That lady didn't do it right. I was thinking, Ruth said it looks a little short. I'm sitting there thinking like it looks a little short. You guys on the live stream on Zoom was like, it looks a little short. I was like, hey, it's supposed to be normal. Well, turns out it was not. Well, maybe it'll grow back. It'll be fine. But yeah, she turns out she wanted a little bit early, and I don't know if it was because I said I was a youth pastor or not, but it's still a funny thing to talk about. So, but hey, thank you so much again for joining the Grove Live. Just a little bit of a funny story for you guys to start off this live stream. Sorry for it being a little bit late, and I'm going to be doing a little bit different today. In my study time this morning, I feel like God gave me a word while I was studying, and in the midst of everything that's going on, and in my personal life, um, there's a lot of times where we as either Christian we as Christians or just people in general that live in the United States today or in the world today, we always are being rushed. For the longest time this before this virus came and was very prevalent, and just everybody's what they're thinking about. We were running around everywhere, right? We were busy. We were doing so much stuff. We had the calendar full as a church. We had the calendar full, and just getting to that point where uh, when the virus was at its highest, everything in the world shut down, and it hurt a lot of people. It confused a lot of people, and just because of how everything goes, but it slowed us down. It slowed us down. And in the life that once was, and in my own life, you always sometimes would feel like, oh, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to, read the Bible. Um, I don't have enough time to pray. I don't have enough time to um, spend with God, because God takes, taking time out to read the Bible or taking time out to, pray and just study in His Word. Um, you oftentimes don't put two and two together and think that the time that I spent with God is time that I lost. A lot of times I used to think that. Getting into a routine of praying in the morning or reading the Bible in the morning, you start to think, well, I uh, I can't do all this stuff. Like for my morning routine, I do all this stuff. I wake up at the same time every day. I do have a set list. I have to eat. I have to take my shower. I have to get ready. Um, and then at time, if I have time left over, I usually like to watch TV. And then I sometimes pray and read the Bible in the morning, but a lot of times I do it in the afternoon. And this particular time, I decided to do an experiment in my own life. So I did the same thing as I usually do. I get up, uh, get ready for work, eat breakfast, um, send Ruth off to work, and then I did the exact same thing as usual. But the only difference is instead of just um, watching YouTube for that time, I prayed and listened to the Bible, and I got to my desired reading for the day. I finished all that, and then I realized that I had just as much time after as I would have during the whole thing. And it's one of those expressions. If you ever heard the expression, it doesn't make sense on paper. That's kind of what it feels like, especially whenever you're in the will of God and you dedicate time to Him. Um, Stuff just happens and just doesn't make sense all the time. For example, if you are paying your tithes, if you're giving to God, if you're giving an offering, if you're supporting missions or giving to Speed the Light or whatever it may be, you always feel like at first, whenever you have the money in your hand, I either can't afford this, I can't afford to lose this, I have to keep it for this bill that's coming up. But then you decide, you know what? No, I've made a decision to God that I will be able to give this tithe, and you give the tithe and you give the offering, and then it's the last as you got. It's not enough to sustain you throughout the rest of the week. It's not enough to reach and pay that bill at the end of the month or whatever it is. But then always at the end of the month, you always come out perfect with either just enough in the bank to pay that bill, to pay off all those bills, or with a little bit more. And it's one of those where it doesn't make sense on paper, but it always makes sense to God. And so that's why I wanted to, do a little bit of a different instead of just our regular, um, you know, exegetical, fancy word, exegetical reading of the Bible. Um, exegetical is just simply reading chapter by chapter, one right after another. And so because this morning, it felt like, and I know this from my own life because I've done this before. If you believe the flesh, if you believe the lies of Satan that says you don't have time, or like there's not enough time in the day to be able um, to do all the stuff. There's not enough time to read the Bible and to still have time at the end of the day to either exercise, to you know, relax, watch TV, play video games, or whatever it may be. But that's just not the case. And I know this from my own life, but like a lot of us, I let my own mind dictate what what I do. And if I don't feel that I have enough time in a day to read the Bible, then I'll wait. I'll push it back later. If I don't have enough time right then, I'll push it back later. But when I do, and I've gone through seasons, but when I do take time and read that, read my allotted scripture, read my portion, pray, and all that stuff, it doesn't ever feel like I lost any time, because the time that I would think that I would have lost, it would have just gone by super fast, from it's really fast from 7:30 to 9 p.m. whenever I have to be here at church. It's a lot of it's a long time, but it seems so fast whenever you're just doing whatever you want, whenever you're wasting time and you're not spending it with God. But if you take time just at the beginning part, or wherever, you feel like you have the same amount of time from 7:30 to 9, or from 8 to 10, or whatever time you guys take to study the Bible and before you do school or chores. You don't ever feel like you lost that time, because the time that you spend with God, just it feels like time slows down. And it doesn't matter, like, even if you really don't have time, there's some, if you're really honoring God, and during this time, been thinking about this as well. We are really busy as a church, and we're always doing stuff. And if there's ever a point in time where you know we just need a break, and we just need to step aside and just refocus, recalibrate on God and on our situation, then there's a miraculous break. We can't explain it. It doesn't make sense on paper, but it makes sense in God's mind. And I hope this is making sense to you guys, where, like, the time that you lost, it's Satan ultimately. The time that you will lose, whenever you to spend with God, is the number one key that Satan likes to use. It's like to make you think you're losing this time, but in reality, if you look at it, and if how it feels to yourself, if you dedicate that time to spend with God, the rest of the time feels exactly the same. It can go fast, it can go long, and I tried it today, and it was exactly. I usually watch uh, 2 to 3 videos on YouTube while I'm eating my breakfast, but before I did that today, as I spent 30 minutes, and I looked at the clock. It was said 30 minutes on reading the Bible and praying to God, and I was still able to watch um, those three chapters. I don't know. God rolled back the sun. He rolled back the time. I don't know. But that time that I thought I was going to lose with just this, you know, un this thing that's not going to make any difference, just watching YouTube or whatever, eating my breakfast, wasn't beneficial to myself. I chose time at the very beginning to do something that is beneficial and spend it with God. And I still had the same amount of time. I'd like to read Psalms 23 today because whatever we're going through, whatever it feels like we're going through, we still can rely on God, and everything that He gives us, all the time that He does give us, we get from Him. We don't lack in any of it. Uh, he's there, and He always resupplies us and helps us to keep going. So Psalms 23 says this: "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. They prepare me a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever." The psalmist right here was written by David. The psalm right here was written by David. So David is basically saying he's on one of his good days whenever he's writing this, and he really slows down. He really thinks about. See, this whole thing comes back if you just really sit down and you think about where your time is being spent. If you spend it playing Fortnite, if you spend it playing Apex Legends, if you spend it playing any video games, or if you spend it on your phone, TikTok, or whatever it may be, spend it on YouTube, whatever it may be, you have time. You have that allotted time that you have designated for social media purposes, for entertainment purposes, which is all fine if you have a nice balance where you are giving it to God. You may seem like you may think you may not have time. You may think that um, it's boring or whatever. I want to encourage you this: everybody on this earth, nobody's different. Everybody has 24 hours. You take that away, you take away time for sleeping, you may have 16 hours, right? Uh, everybody has 16 hours in a day where we're either awake or uh, if we're at work or if we're at school and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be long, but I want to encourage you, take one allotted time that you would usually spend on Facebook, would spend with YouTube, spend on TikTok, or like a 30-minute segment where you would spend on video games. Just take that time, just one during the day, and read the Bible and pray. And I guarantee you, if you do that, you'll realize that it doesn't matter how long it takes to read the chapter or read the portion of scripture that you want, study ID stuff. It doesn't matter how long it takes. You always feel like you have more than enough time to do everything else you love. Spend time with your pets and spend time with your friends, your family, whether it's online or whether it's in person. You still have an over and abundance of time that you are able to spend, as even like though you took one portion and you gave it back to God. You gave God uh, um, your tithe of time. Basically, you gave him the portion of time that he he's entitled to, and he's worthy enough to do it. And you will always see, and this is the same with giving in tithes. It doesn't matter how much time you give to God, you never lose time. You will never feel like you have wasted time. You will never feel like you have ever lacked in any way, whether that's giving in time, whether that's giving in tithe, giving your tithes and offering. You'll never get to a point to where you're like, I don't have enough. because God will supply everything. He supplies your every need. Psalms 23:1, I shall not want, because he supplies everything. So I want to give you guys that encouragement today. That's what's been on my heart since this morning. It really hit home. Um, I'm on this journey with you guys as well. I'm um, reading all the way through the Bible during ID, so I'm with you guys as well. And if you are doing that and you're doing it in the ID time limit, you have a certain number of chapters that you have to read, right? And whether or not you are a fast reader or if you're just a listener like I am, you're able to, read through that pretty quickly and meditate on it and get through it. And but I guarantee you guys will never feel like you've wasted your time, and you'll never feel like you're running out of time, because God always supplies the needs, whether it's finances or whether it's time or rest when you need it. So you guys are awesome. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. Um, I'm just gonna hang out with you guys for a little bit longer. Um, it's been pretty cool. Um, I don't know why I can't do this, but hope you guys are doing well. I know you guys. Um, I know you guys are still uh, hanging out the house and doing all this stuff. But What are you guys learning? Are you guys able to keep up with your ID stuff? I really hope you guys are, because ID is not just something that Ruth and I and Caleb and Tori and Josh and Lori and Pastor just came up with, and just to try and get you guys to read more and to take up time. We really feel in our hearts that it is really beneficial for a student, especially when you guys are not in school. I wish I had this as a student, because it would have been so fun. Uh, yeah, it just, especially because I rededicated my life at 15, and at 15, age 15, you're a freshman in high school. Man, if I was able to have ID or have a program like that whenever I was in high school, I would be really blessed. I was blessed anyway with my youth pastor in the season that we were in, um, and it was really fun. It was really fun what we had, but there's not a lot of competition based games. We had a little bit of a competition where the team leaders were like the upperclassmen, and I was a team leader for a couple years. But it was very one sided. So if for a team leader like I was, I forget what it was called. It was called something, and basically, it had like 100 points per dollar, right? But you could give, because we did um, homeless ministries every third Saturday of the month. Every other month, every third Saturday of every other month. That's what it was. And we would donate so much stuff. But if you brung items of clothing, or if you brung canned foods, if you brung um, baby baby stuff, if you brung stuff like that, each item that you brought had its own and um, different meaning and different value. And my youth pastor every other month on the third Saturday would take all of that stuff that we had gotten, loaded up a van. I was there with my youth pastor, loaded up. For the first year we loaded up a van, But by the time I graduated, we loaded up an entire 30 passenger bus with all the stuff that we had to donate, and we gave it to the homeless. So, and it was a little bit one sided. Um, Here it's a little bit one sided as well, with more of the Bible reading side, because you can totally reach your goal 3 times over if you read the whole Bible, and it's really not it's really not hard. An average of 17 chapters a day, 18 chapters I go for, and it's really not that hard. So it may be a one-sided a little bit, but uh, I feel like it's beneficial. Did Whenever I was a student was beneficial because it instilled in the heart of the students a giving heart. I cleaned out, and the very last day of the competition was our New Year's Eve lock-in. That was uh, every day at, or every year on the 31st, even if it fell on a Saturday. And we did have Sunday morning service on the first if it was a Sunday or a Wednesday, just because it was a candlelight service. We would still be there, we would still have it, and that would be the last day of this event. And I remember cleaning out my entire closet of, like, I filled up 5 black huge bags full of clothes I wanted to donate. I had somebody on my team who had um, 5 younger siblings, and they're like, "We're done. We're not having any more kids." And they donated all of their old baby stuff, baby cribs, toddler beds. They donated all that. And we ended up winning. I think the most points, I set the record for my team. The most individual points that someone could bring was I set, and I said it was, and I reached 500,000 points in that one time, and it was about as long as ID is, and it was one-sided um, towards the giving aspect of it. Um, and we won, and we didn't have as cool as prizes, um, just because, like, there was really nothing to do in Tulsa, and it was new. My youth pastor was trying it out. But we have trips. We do half off trips, or half off trips. We do full price trips. We do free trips if you guys reach the minimum number. And so we're always uh, we're always active. And I want to encourage you guys to do that as well. Um, During this time uh, in ID, if you guys want to give um, if you guys want to give to missions, or if you guys want to give to Speed the Light, or even in like our egging competition, you guys can totally can. Because what we do at the end of ID is, we did this last year. For every $10 that is in either Pastor Ruth or my bucket at the end of ID, every $10 is an egg that one of you guys gets to crack on one of us. So we call it our Speed the Light egging, and it doesn't matter how many points, it doesn't matter how much money you bring in, we all will get it. Um, both Ruth and I get it as well. So, and it's fun. It's a good time. You guys seem to enjoy it. You always seem to enjoy putting money in my bucket. But if you guys want to, if you guys feel the need to, then you totally can. Um, we do still have a goal for this year, which is 50 students saved and $5,000 raised for Speed the Light. And we are, we've had a couple months there where we just got shut down, but God is still faithful. I believe God can still uh, meet those needs and still meet those goals because God doesn't God doesn't leave His people hanging, just like we talked about in Psalms 23. He supplies all of our needs, and so it's good. It's all fun and all that stuff, and so we want to try and do that for you guys. Um, with um, the giving and with the ID stuff. You guys are awesome. I know every one of you guys can do it. It's not hard. It's really not. Part of the thing that keeps us back, holds us back, is the thing that holds us back is um, not having enough time or thinking that we don't have enough time. And I want to encourage you guys that you do have time. You have time to do, other stuff as well. And if you just give God the time that, just give God time. It doesn't have to be a long time. Uh, it doesn't have to be short. It can be short. Um, but meaningful time with God. And you will realize that, hey, that was, I didn't lose a single hour in the day. I was totally fine. I had enough time to do more than what I was able to do because I started off my day giving time to God. So that's how the cookie crumbles. So it's pretty fun getting to hang out with you guys. I wish I could hang out with you guys more. Um, I will be posting on our social medias that we will be having a fire night in June, and I will post details about that. We will be having fire night. We will be having fuzz as well. If you guys did not know what fuzz is part of our ID program, and to get credit for fuzz or to get ID credit in fuzz, all it is it's just some fun games that Ruth and I do, whether that's chugging uh, an icy from Come and Go, or uh, or like a puzzle game trying to put a cardboard box back together of a cereal, or trivia or whatever it is. We like to try and make it competitive for all of our competitive students. We love to make it intellectual for all of our intellectual students out there. We love to make it artsy and crafty for all of our artsy kids. And we love to make it fun. But we'll be able to get that. It will be on a Friday night, um, Friday evening, and so if you guys are not able to come, we understand. We just want you to know that um, we are going to be working back into this thing slowly to getting back into normal. The month of June, for the rest of May, we're not going to be able to meet on a Wednesday. We're still going to be online. I'll still be doing daily doses for ID credit. We don't do daily doses on Saturdays and Sundays because, I mean, I love you guys, but I kind of want to rest. I kind of want to break. Because I mean, for you guys get Sunday as well, but every Sunday, unless it's a pre-recorded video, um, I'm always here at the church, making church happen. So we have daily doses every weekday, um, but we want to give you guys the opportunity to be able to connect with us and to work back in this slowly. In the month of June, There's not going to be any Wednesday night services either, so that's still going to be online. At some point in June, we will be having, um, yeah, at, well, if we're being honest, no, never mind. We're not having, and on in June, we're still not going to be able to meet for Sunday school. It'll just be Sunday morning and halfway through Sunday evening service. Um, and then July we start with Wednesdays. So we want to try and give you guys enough opportunity and keep you guys engaged. Um, we want you guys to um, we want you guys to be more active, whether that's physically, whether that's engaging with us live, whether that's scripturally. We want to keep you guys engaged and still focused on the goal uh, that is at hand. So we're coming up with some stuff. So we have that fire night. We also have Fuzz, which is just a game night that games during the night on a Friday night as well. Or that's on a Saturday. Fuzz is on a Saturday, and it's in the afternoon, so from 2 to 5, and it'll just be hanging out, earning points for your team. And so more details will come out for that within the next couple of days. Fire Night is actually pretty soon, so um, we're going to be coming out with um, the list and the days and what to bring and where to go. And so it's all going to be outside, so don't you don't have to fear. It's going to be outside. It'll be in a closed environment, and so we'll have sanitary stations. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of food too, so come hungry. So be on the lookout for that. Nemo gets ID credit. Um, Anybody else that is joining or watch this, be sure to let your uh, ID coach know that the key word of today's live stream is faithfulness. Faithfulness is today's key word for the daily dose, and it's God's faithfulness because God is faithful. If we're faithful to Him, He's faithful to us, and if we are faithful with uh, small, He'll give us um, He will give us more, and we'll have to show faithfulness through much. And so He's always there. He's never going to leave us. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today. We hope you guys have a great week ahead of you. Be on the lookout for more ID extra credit stuff. We'll be on the lookout for ID videos. Go back and watch some of ours. Um, Make sure you get credit for that. I really want to encourage you guys. We do this free trip so you guys can be motivated to do it. We want to see everybody. We want to see everybody. We want to go on this trip with everybody. We don't want anybody to be left out. Um, it's a lot more. It's a lot sweeter to do uh, to like work towards a goal, to be in a competition, and um, to be able to you know learn together. And so we want everybody to go and and we're hoping that you guys have a great week. Hope we have a restful week. Do something nice for your family, and yeah, just give some time to God this week, and you'll see a big increase. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys later. Um, Be sure to like, and your guys are already commenting. Text your ID coach um, the keyword for today, and we'll see you guys later. God bless.